Now, what they're doing in these schools is they're beating the kids with a paddle, and a paddle is assault with a deadly weapon. If I go up and hit your neighbor with a piece of wood or anything, that's assault with a deadly weapon. And so the people that are doing this in these schools can do this legally. You cannot stop them. You cannot go up there and confront them. If you do, you're liable to go to jail. If you touch them in any way, you certainly will go to jail because they have the right to do this. We don't have any rights as parents for the school. As far as the school goes, they allow corporal punishment. And if you enroll your boy or girl at that school, then you'd better check the fine print because there may be something in there about that, or there may not.
The hitting stops here. The hitting stops here.
Protect the very planet that we're on right now, to allow our children to raise up and have healthy, productive lives. So. Conspiracy cases. The word conspiracy has been demonized, called conspiracy theory, and people that talk about conspiracies really have been labeled as wacky kooks. No, this is a crime that is occurring, and our corporations and very powerful people who are making a lot of money and also consolidating an enormous amount of monetary and political power into the hands of a few, and it's at the expense of every living thing on the planet. People now around the world are getting their blood tested for aluminum. Levels are off the charts, and again, aluminum is very toxic. No, there's a patent. It's called the Welsbach patent, and it was a device that was created. It was a geoengineering patent. It's a device which was designed to put on airplanes and specifically spray aluminum, barium, and other geoengineering metals into our system. Do that? Again, to corporatize and control our weather, and corporatize and control every natural system. One of my films, which I produced, which has been very popular, and it's actually created a worldwide movement. So I'd like to share it with everybody. But again, this is also referred to as the chemtrail issue, and many people are aware of the long white trails that they see in the sky. Those trails are trails from geoengineering programs. They're actually blocking out our sun, causing a number of health and environmental implications to the world. So I'm very thankful for everybody here in addressing the future of humanity, and that starts with us, and it starts with our children. So thank you.
What did the young man do to make the teacher hit him?
I don't recall, actually.
We haven't a single student of Middle Eastern school children being beaten like this. We have no statistics of children who are wealthy being beaten like this in schools, but we have lots of black, brown, poor whites, and children having special needs having this. So there's all of these reasons why this needs to come to an end. It's classist, it's racist, it's sexist, it's sadistic, and it's happening. Only an unstable teacher will do this. Professional teachers frown upon the use of this instrument of pain.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Very good.
All right. Yes, let me give some figures here. 142,000 severely injured, 18,000 permanently disabled, and 1,000 to 2,000 kids die a year from corporal punishment. Now, this is in the schools, this is in the home, and what youth facilities that they can monitor. If your daughter or son comes home in this condition, they are being tortured by an instrument that they used on slaves. And this is outrageous that we should be clinging on to this in the year 2012. if I learned one thing from listening to these men that were beaten, and they could receive anywhere from 25 to 50 to 70 to 100 lashes, it left them all with a feeling of embarrassment, helplessness, anger, and finally rage. And the rage problem is what most of these men were left over with, because you can't beat somebody like a farm animal and not put a rage into them. When they grew up and became married and had their own children, they would beat their own children, or sometimes not. I had many letters from daughters that said, "Thank you so much for posting this, Mr. Straley. We understand now why our father beat us like he did." And or it would be, we understand now why Dad was so far apart from us. He would never hold us or cuddle us or, you know, touch us even. So it just went one way or another. But the kids that are being beaten with these paddles are going to be impacted in the same way. You know, this is something that when you are beaten like that, in your mind, this is going to go to the future. You're going to go to your future wife, to their children. It will go to their children. This thing will burn its way through generations before it stops. I've had people call me in the last 2 or 3 months just finding out about the Flowe School for Boys because of our website, which is the WhiteHouseBoysOnline.com, and basically saying we were beaten by our dad like that, and we didn't understand why, and then we found out that his dad beat him like that. So here you have 50 years later, people that are still impacted by these beatings that took place 50 years ago.
Ho ho! Corporal Punishment's got to go. Hey hey! Ho ho! Corporal Punishment's got to go.
The corporate system. So I think that these issues are definitely rooted in the same area, and they're not in the best interest of the people who are affected, the children who are being beaten, the children who are breathing this in, but they are in the best interest for conforming people and controlling people into this corporate system, which again is taking power away from people and bringing it into the hands of a few. So we have to take that power back. We have to address these issues and get active and take back our earth. We are stewards of the earth, and we're also stewards of our children. Why do we give our children over to somebody who would be conforming them into this corporate system? This is our responsibility. Our health and our earth is our responsibility. No question about it. These metals from chemtrail geoengineering programs are showing up everywhere. And again, they're short of nuclear fallout. We have had no greater threat to the planet than these programs. I'm sure after watching the film, you come in agreement with that. But we're at a very vital time in history. We can take back our freedom. We can take back our sovereignty by addressing this both politically. And God, thank you so much, Paula, for everything that you've done. That's incredible. And I'm learning from you about how to take this more into the political realm. So I'm going to be picking your brain. But we're at a very vital time. And why are we giving up our children to this system? Why are we giving up our sovereignty as human beings to breathe in these toxins and be transported into this political system? We have to exercise our power.
Hitting children with boards is child abuse, and it must stop in our schools.
This ties in with what is going on in the schools. I've seen some of the pictures of the beatings that these children have received, and they were equal to probably 10 to 15 lashes with one of these heavy whips that were inflicted upon us when we were there. And that is not a spanking, that is a flogging, if you want to get technical about it. The wooden paddle that you see in the schools, they actually stopped at this reform school because they were breaking the tailbones and shattering the tailbones of these children with the paddle, and they went to the whips instead of the paddle because they didn't want that happening. And this went on until 1968, when Governor Kirk found out about it, found out what was going on up there, made them open the White House punishment room, which was a whitewashed building that they used for punishment. took him in there, and he saw the bloody bed that the kid would lie on, and the whips hanging on the wall. He didn't like what he saw, and so he sent a man down named O.J. Keller to ban flogging for students, and he managed to do that in 1968. It wasn't like they didn't know about this. Judges had visited the school, individuals, Jack Levine, Governor Kirk went down there, the Senate President Louis D. Laparte went down there, and some of them witnessed the beatings. Dr. Bird was a psychiatrist, testified before Congress, and they basically said a boy is made to lie on a bed, grab the bed rails. The whip is delivered with an over-the-head blow by a man that weighs 200 pounds. The results are sickening. The boy quivers and writhes on the bed in pain from a sadistic treatment that is repulsive and somewhat criminal in nature. This was going on all over the South, not only in this reform school, but it went on in the turpentine camps, the phosphate mills, and the lumber companies. They had a thing out called a convict leasing, and the state of Florida would be paid $25 for anybody that they could catch as a vagrant, and they would send them to these camps. And if they didn't have any money, if they didn't have the right ID, they would put them before a judge. They would sentence them to 2 months at one of these camps. They were lucky if they got out in 2 or 3 years, and some were not lucky at all. So the year is 1968, and flogging has been abolished finally at the Florida School for Boys, and it's been abolished all across the state by Governor Hardy in 1922. The reason that this was allowed to go on for so long is the level of brutality that existed in the Panhandle and in the other southern states as well, from Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. All of this boils down to coming around from slavery, and the beatings that the slaves got with whips were the same things they were using in the school on us. They were using them in the turpentine camps and the turpentine mills. And basically this went right on into the classroom. And what your child is experiencing is they are being beaten with the same instrument of torture that was used on the people in the turpentine mills, the youth camps.
Hit with these boards, and we're out to stop it.
Treatment of our children, the children here in the U.S. as well as in the world. It's important for all of us that this bill get passed. Bill get passed. Bill get passed.
Please store and put away your personal items in an overhead bin or underneath the seat in front of you. We'll be coming through the cabin to pick up any cups, napkins, newspapers, or any items that you wish to discard.